recent poll claimed that nearly half of young Britons believe that their own country is racist. Not that racism exists, as it does in all societies, but that Britain itself, its history, its institutions, its very essence is defined by it. The idea that Britain is a racist country is not an organic conclusion reached by the young. It is an idea implanted into their minds, carefully nurtured by a system that despises its own heritage. A nation that once ruled the waves, that built the modern world, that gave birth to literature, philosophy, and law of the highest order, is now accused of being an irredeemable stain upon history. In this video I want to explore why young people feel like this, and moreover, can we really blame them? But just a quick interruption. If you like my content, please consider becoming a paid subscriber to my Substack, or buy me a coffee. I want to create more independent content, so subscribing really helps out. Britain is not a racist country. It is a country that has bent over backwards to accommodate, to integrate, and self-flagellate in the name of progress. Yet the more it concedes, the more it is told that it has not done enough. This is not about justice, it's about control, it's about making the native population compliant, fearful of speaking up, and afraid to assert that their ancestors were not villains, but visionaries and victors. Young people are simply the latest victims of this psychological war, conditioned from birth to see themselves as oppressors rather than inheritors of a grand civilization. Our education system only shows us the surface of our history. We don't discuss the great stories of kings and battles. We only discuss Henry VIII's 6 wives as a symbol of patriarchy and oppression of the time. We are told that history is oppressive and the statues that celebrate our heroes of the past must be torn down. We are constantly told that our viewpoint is oppressive and limiting because it's Western. Is it any wonder why young people think Britain is oppressive and racist when we've been told that any sign of strength should be treated as evil? And if young people continue to believe this, if they continue to swallow this poison, then Britain will indeed decline. Not because of its past, but because its people have been taught to despise themselves. But the leftist propagandizing of our education system only explains part of why young people today feel no loyalty to this country. The tragedy of Britain is not merely that young people despise this country, it's that they don't even know it. How can one love or defend a nation when its history has been stripped from the curriculum, its culture reduced to a handful of cliches, its traditions hollowed out by decades of deliberate neglect? Ask the average young Briton to name the battles that shaped this island, the poets who gave it a voice, the inventors who reshaped the world from its shores, and you'll be met with blank stares or sneering indifference. They have been taught that Britain is not a civilization to be understood, but a crime to be atoned for. Their history is little more than a series of grievances, their sense of place and heritage replaced with shame and abstraction. Young people cannot feel pride in Britain because they are adrift in an atomised fractured society, where community ties have withered and national identity has become diluted. They are raised in a world where the idea of shared values is a distant memory, and they have no tangible connection to the land they inhabit. Their lives are dominated by the crushing reality of high rent and high taxes, money that vanishes into a system that offers them nothing in return. We will never be able to afford a home, never build a life in a way that previous generations did. How can they feel pride when they've been trapped in a cycle of survival, unable to even imagine a future of stability or ownership? This is not the future of a great nation, it's the decline of a people who have been abandoned by their own system, left with nothing but bitterness and resignation. The dream of Britain is fading, and these young people, powerless and disillusioned, are the tragic heirs to a legacy they cannot relate to. They may know every foreign cause they're expected to support, every global struggle in which they are meant to feel complicit, but of their own land, of their own people, of their own inheritance, they know nothing. And if they know nothing, they will fight for nothing. And if they fight for nothing, then Britain as a living entity will cease to exist, not by conquest, not by force, but by the slow erosion of memory, by the silent retreat into oblivion. The real crime here is not racism, it's a deliberate dismantling of a national pride, the erasure of historical achievements, and the destruction of identity. A nation that believes it's evil cannot defend itself, and that ultimately is the goal of those who push this narrative. The question is, will we let them succeed?